There's a good chance you already have the savings you need to retire, but does that mean you're actually ready? I've seen people with millions of dollars end up losing hundreds of thousands to unnecessary taxes in retirement simply because they didn't have a proper income and tax plan. I work with Canadians every day on that crucial step between finishing work and living off your money. And before any client retires, there's 5 questions I need them to answer. And if they can answer yes to all of them, then they're ready to go. If not, then they're not ready, no matter how much money they've saved. So in this video, I'm going to share with you what those 5 questions are and reveal what each question can tell us about how ready you actually are for retirement. All right, so our first question is, do you know how much you're actually going to be spending every year in retirement after tax? So a question I like to ask people is, let's fast forward to retirement. In an ideal world, what does your life look like? And can we put a dollar figure to that lifestyle? And a lot of times I get that question thrown back at me and people ask, well, how much do people regularly spend? And that's a loaded question because I have some clients who have $3 million and they're spending $5,000 per month. And these people are going to die with $10 million in the bank. And I have other clients who have $3 million and they're spending $15,000 per month because they want to die with nothing. So it really depends on your individual circumstances and what you want to get out of retirement. Another thing that people forget is their irregular expenses. So things like home repairs, replacing vehicles, or helping their kids financially with a down payment or a wedding. These are all things that are going to affect your portfolio in the long run. So you'll want to factor that in. In retirement, your lifestyle cost is the foundation of your plan. It's really important to know this number because without it, it's like trying to finish a puzzle without knowing how many pieces you're missing. That's not to say that you should put yourself on a budget. That's not what retirement's about. But take a look at your expenses over the last 12 months and see what you've been spending on day-to-day expenses. Things like groceries, home insurance, just things of that nature to get a baseline of how much you'll need in retirement, and then add in the one-offs like I was mentioning. House repairs, replacing vehicles, helping kids, travel, things that you need to factor in throughout the life of your retirement. Once you have a better idea as far as how much you're actually going to be spending in retirement, the rest of your retirement plan becomes that much easier to figure out. And by the way, if you're not 100% sure of your true after-tax spending in retirement, then I've put together something that can help. The Complete Canadian Retirement Withdrawal Guide. It helps you map out your spending versus your income sources so you know with confidence whether or not your retirement plan can sustain your lifestyle. Check it out for free using the link in the description. So our second question is, do you have an income plan and not just an investment portfolio? Unfortunately, there's a lot of Canadians who work with a financial advisor and all that they're receiving is investment management. There's no plan in place to figure out which accounts they should be drawing from first in retirement, which specific investments in those accounts they'll be drawing from, and how does that all line up with CPP and OAS timing. These are all super important questions so that you know how you're actually going to get paid in retirement. An income plan is going to allow you to see what account you'll be drawing from first in retirement and more specifically, what investment in that account you'll be drawing on. This will allow you to see the tax impacts of your withdrawal strategy today and over the next 30 years of your retirement so you don't end up paying more than you need to the CRA. So if you're working with an advisor, don't just settle for an investment portfolio. They should be helping you put together a withdrawal strategy so that you're not paying any more tax than you need to. Our third question is, have you stress tested your portfolio against poor market returns? Markets have been doing really well over the last number of years, which is great. But what happens if you retire tomorrow and the market goes through a correction? Where are you going to be drawing your money from? Are you still going to have enough money to sustain your lifestyle in retirement? These are all super important questions that you want the answer to before you pull the plug and retire. So don't put together a plan where you just use an average rate of return over the next 30 years. That's not going to happen in reality. You want to make sure that you account for variability in those returns because we all know the market goes up and down over time. And the timing of those crashes will impact your withdrawal strategy moving forward. So what can you do to protect yourself? Well, make sure that you don't have all of your investments in one asset class because if that asset class performs poorly, well, guess what? You're making withdrawals at a loss. Make sure that your portfolio is diversified, and if you want to play it safe, use a bucketing strategy where you keep a little bit of money in cash or conservative investments to ride it out if markets do go through a correction early in retirement. For our fourth question, we're going to want to know when you plan on taking CPP and OAS and why. A lot of people default to taking their government benefits as soon as possible. So they start their CPP at 60 and their old age security at 65 simply because they want that money coming in. Now, I'm not saying that's wrong, but you want to make sure that you know what your break-even points are. So what's the difference between taking CPP at 60 versus, let's say, 65 or 70? Now, we're never going to have a perfect answer to this question because we have no idea how long you're going to live, but you want to see how those different decisions impact your retirement plan in the long run. Not only that, but your CPP and OAS decision will also affect the rest of your withdrawal strategy and how your portfolio should be invested. Because if you take your CPP early, well, that means you don't need to draw out as much from your retirement portfolio. If you take your CPP later, well, that means you have to completely rely on your investment portfolio to sustain your income in retirement. So as you can see, these decisions will affect your entire plan, and they could affect your old age security clawback. They will affect how much taxes you're going to pay throughout your retirement. So you want to make sure that you look at all options to figure out what works best for you and not just default to taking it at the earliest time possible. Our fifth question is, have you looked at what your tax bill is going to be down the road versus what it's going to be today? Here's what a lot of people get wrong. They try to keep their tax bill as low as possible today. They've been working their whole lives and they're sick and tired of paying taxes. And now that they're in retirement, they have somewhat control over their income. So they don't make RSP withdrawals as an example, and they keep their income as low as possible while they're living off their non-registered or tax-free savings accounts. This is great to keep your tax bill low today, but how is that going to impact your tax bill down the road? Because as you probably know, whatever's left in your RSP once you die can roll over tax-free to your spouse, but upon the second spouse's death, whatever's left in those accounts becomes taxable in 1 year. In most provinces, this can lead to a tax bill of over 50% on a good chunk of your retirement savings. So you'll want to take a look at how your decisions today impact your tax plan across your retirement. And I'll say this is the #1 area where we help our clients, because if you get this decision wrong, it can lead to hundreds of thousands of extra dollars put towards taxes that could have easily been avoided. If you want to see exactly how much tax you can save by having a proper withdrawal strategy, then check out the link in the description to learn more about our Atlas system. It's the exact process we use to create personalized, tax-efficient withdrawal strategies for all our clients. So if you can answer yes to these 5 questions, you're ahead of most Canadians when it comes to retirement readiness. In fact, there are 5 clear signs that you could walk away from work earlier than you thought without risking your lifestyle or your long-term finances. I break them down in this next video, so click here to check it out.